Today was the final day for Premier League clubs to bring in some players, so why don't we take a little look at how some of those teams did. We won't go through every team in depth, as some teams didn't do much. Some got their business done early, and some, like Spurs for example, did absolutely nothing. By the way, my name is Adrian, and if you're finding us for the first time, then consider subscribing, because we'll have a lot of content coming your way as the season gets underway. We'll have weekend reviews, player bios, explainers, and lots more. Alright, let's start by speaking about Spurs. Why, you might ask? Well, as Mauricio Pochettino said, quote, "I am with full energy. I am fitter than last season because I was thinking if a player involved in the World Cup arrives not fit, then I have a possibility to play." Yeah, I guess, hey, since there were no signings. Then he went on to say, quote, "It's difficult to understand that Tottenham didn't sign or sell players. Sometimes in football, you need to behave differently. If we're happy with our squad and we cannot improve our squad, it's better to keep our squad together." I am personally not of the same opinion as him, as I think that some added competition for starting places can only do a team good, but hey, I'm not the professional manager here. I have won as much silverware as him though. Regardless, Spurs have become the first Premier League club in the history of the summer transfer window to not make a single signing. If things don't go well from here until January or injuries hit their squad, then their fans will not be happy. As for Arsenal, there isn't much to say about them, as they got their business done early with 5 acquisitions this summer in Bernd Leno, Stefan Lichtsteiner, Socrates, Lucas Torreira, and Matteo Guendouzi. They were rumored to have been in talks with Ousmane Dembele, but that was just Twitter talk, as both clubs denied contact, and Barcelona reiterated that he is not for sale. Their crosstown rivals Chelsea got most of their business done last night, aka the night before transfer deadline day, as they sold Thibaut Courtois to Real Madrid, and Madrid sent them Mateo Kovacic on loan. Well, apparently there is no option for Chelsea to purchase Kovacic at the end of the loan, which is great business by Real Madrid, as Chelsea will get to develop one of their younger, more fringe players for them without the risk of losing the player. This actually makes a lot of Chelsea fans a little bit frustrated, considering Ruben Loftus-Cheek is just sort of floating away. Today, however, Chelsea did unveil Kepa Arrizabalaga, who has already taken the title of the world's most expensive goalkeeper from Alisson, which is crazy, man. I don't know how I feel about this one, because I honestly don't know a ton about this kid. A lot of people don't, and if they claim they do, might be lying. His name came up in January. I know he was sought after then, and Sarri identified him as the next big thing, so time will tell. I guess trust Sarri and his judgment. Manchester City is another team that got most of their business done earlier in the summer. And by most, I mean their marquee signing of Riyad Mahrez. They also brought in Felipe Sandler at the end of July, while on deadline day today, they signed very promising Australian youngster Daniel Arzani from Melbourne City, with many expecting that he'll be sent on loan. Arzani made the Australian squad for Russia 2018 and was the youngest player to appear in the tournament. Of course, Melbourne is owned by City Football Group, so Arzani is staying within the family, so to speak. United had a fairly underwhelming window, to be honest. They did bring in Fred, who will add some creativity to their midfield if Mourinho decides to play with some attacking tactics, while they also brought in Dalot, a signing for the future and potential Antonio Valencia replacement at right back, and Grant, a backup keeper to De Gea, given that Romero is nursing an injury, and Joel Pereira was sent on loan. I feel like United fans will largely be unhappy with this window, as they were rumored to get a centre back all summer long, and it looked like they had a chance at Godin on deadline day today, but Godin simply used United as leverage for a better contract with Atletico Madrid. Classic. Also, we'll be interested to see if United is able to sell more of their deadwood, as remember, the clubs are still allowed to sell players, they just can't make any more acquisitions. West Ham had a pretty solid window, if you ask me, as they brought in many players, including, you ready for this? Issa Diop, Lucas Fabianski, Ryan Fredericks, Jack Wilshere, Andriy Yarmolenko, Fabian Balbuena, Felipe Anderson, and on deadline day, Lucas Perez from Arsenal for £5 million. As well as another signing that I'll get to in a sec, but I personally thought that Perez wasn't given a fair shake at Arsenal, and he showed signs of being a decent setup man while he was there. But, as I said, never really got regular playing time and then was sent away on loan. For £5 million, I think that's a worthy roll of the dice for West Ham, capping off a really strong summer window. Or so we thought it was capping it off, until they show that they weren't done there, as with just 5 minutes remaining, West Ham announced the signing of Colombia international Carlos Sanchez, the central midfielder who has been a mainstay with his national team, and arrives from Fiorentina following a loan move to Espanyol last season. He does have Premier League experience, however, as he was part of the Aston Villa squad from 2014 to 2016. Know who made even more acquisitions? Wolves, as they aren't playing around once again. I feel like I've spoken about Wolves and their signings a ton already on this channel. I have a video about them if you're interested, but as for the last couple of days of the transfer window, they made 2 signings. Adama Traore from Middlesbrough, the 22-year-old attacker who had, you ready for this? 267 successful take-ons in the championship last season. He dribbled past his opponent 267 times. That's 132 times more than the second most take-ons in the championship. And thank you Optajo for that stat. They also brought in Den Donker, the Belgian central midfielder from Anderlecht, who will be competing for the central midfield starting spot with Moutinho and Ruben Neves. Oh, I'm sorry, all you Anglophones that don't like my Portuguese pronunciation. Ruben Neves. The amount of people that were telling me that I was saying Portuguese names wrong in that Wolves video and telling me to pronounce it the English way was hilarious. The internet's the best, don't go changing. Anyways, you couple Traore and Dendonker with the signings of Moutinho, Patricio, Jimenez, etc. Great window for Wolves. Their fellow promotees, Fulham, who, as someone noted in the comment section of one of my videos, probably aren't getting enough love due to Wolves overshadowing them. Well, Fulham also had a very solid transfer window, which saw them bring in the likes of Jean-Michael Seri, Fabry, Alfie Mossam, and Callum Chambers on loan from Arsenal. Fulham also hit the market signing Atletico Madrid striker Luciano Vietto on loan. The Argentinian has had a hard time nailing down regular football since joining Atletico from Villarreal, constantly being sent on loan for them, and he has been once again. I think he'll be a solid option for Fulham, as their fans have got to be happy with this summer window. Oh, and Fulham also signed Timothy Fosu-Mensah from Manchester United on loan. He typically operates as a fullback, sometimes as a center back. He was on loan at Crystal Palace last season and got regular playing time, so I think that will be another great coup from Fulham. Palace added a final piece to their puzzle in Jordan Ayew from Swansea, as they had already made moves for Guita, Kouyaté, and Max Meyer. Good acquisitions for them. The main thing, however, was holding on to Zaha, which as of now they have done, because remember, they could still sell. Here's a big one, Everton. And what a great window for them, as they added to their previous signings of Lucas Digne and Richarlison, with Brazilian winger Bernard coming in from Shakhtar. He was great back in the day when he was at Shakhtar. I like that signing. A small player who could have some problems with the physicality of the league, but I think he'll be fine for them. And I mean, considering he was free, all the better. Barcelona did a great bit of business. I know they're not in the Premier League, just hang on 1 second. As they bought Yerry Mina in January for around £11 million, and then turned around and sold him to Everton for €30.25 million. This could be a good signing for Everton, as let's be honest, we haven't seen much of Mina besides in the World Cup this summer, a stretch of just 3 matches. For Barcelona, he made only 5 appearances, so I'm not convinced based on what I've seen of him in Europe, but I don't rule him out as being a potentially very good signing. But as of what we've seen of him, it's almost nothing. Everton also brought in Barcelona's Andre Gomes on loan, paying Barcelona $2.25 million to loan the guy, and it wasn't clear whether there was a future fee attached to the loan as well. Regardless, I think this works for all parties involved, as Gomes would be far down the pecking order in Barcelona's midfield, and Everton get to potentially get the best out of a midfielder who has shown tons of promise at both Benfica and Valencia, but largely flopped with the Catalonians. Working with a Portuguese manager, maybe he'll do better. I don't know. But shit, what an insane final day for Everton. Bernard, Mina, and Andre Gomes, not bad. Brighton had a really big day as they signed Spanish right back Martin Montoya on loan from Valencia. Montoya, of course, started his career with FC Barcelona. And this adds to their very busy deadline day, in which they also signed Dan Burn, 17-year-old midfielder Peter Gorges from Swedish club J Södra IF, and 18-year-old Leo Skiri, who joined Brighton last night, actually. As for Newcastle, their hopeful move for Marlon Santos hit a tripping block as Santos wasn't able to nail down a work permit. More frustrations for Newcastle, and you've got to feel for Rafa Benitez, who must be slowly losing his sanity on the tune. They were able to bring in a few players, including Swansea defender Federico Fernandez, but not enough to improve their squad, at least by a great deal, in my opinion. If they have a decent season, it will 100% be down to Rafa's ability as a manager, and not due to Mike Trashley's acquisition campaign. Huddersfield made a deadline day signing of Isaac Mbenza from Montpellier on loan. Mbenza, not Mpenza, but Mbenza with a B, is a Belgium under-21 international who is a right wing / forward and will look to really bolster the Terriers' attack. Apparently there is an option for them to make the move permanent at the end of it, so that could be a good bit of business by the Terriers there. As for Cardiff City, they brought in Harry Arter on loan from Bournemouth as they look to solidify their midfield with the Englishman, and Leicester confirmed that they have signed Turkish defender Kalar Suyanku. But I mean, other than that, you should be completely up to date on all the incoming transfers to English clubs. At least the big ones that were worth mentioning, and the smaller ones that didn't slip under my radar. So, were you happy with your club's dealings? Were you hoping for more? Do you like or dislike the early closing of the summer transfer window? I personally can see why teams voted for the change, as it's nice to have, you know, your team sorted out for the start of the season, but I also thought that there was nothing wrong with the end of August transfer deadline day, so I'm indifferent personally. All right, guys, I should have a FIFA video coming at you in the next day or so. The Premier League starts tomorrow with Manchester United versus Leicester, which we could do a watch along for if you guys fancy that. Other than that, I appreciate you for watching this video, and I shall see you guys later. Peace.